مستر محمود. النهاردة إن شاء الله هنحل أسئلة الفصل الثاني من قصة سجين زندا. The first question: Which one of the following was not true about the king and Rasendell؟ أنهي في الجمل اللي قدامنا الأربعة دول مش صحيح عن رودولف والكينج؟ تمام؟ أول جملة: The king's mouth was less wide. مظبوط. Rasendell's face was a little thinner. مظبوط. Both of them had red hair and liked action. لا طبعا الاتنين ما بيحبوش الأكشن. دي They both liked easy life. يبقى هما الاتنين فعلا بيحبوا الايزي لايف. الوحيدة اللي مختلفة اللي مش موجودة في الاتنين that they liked action. طب ما تقولي يا مستر ما هما عندهم ريد هير. مظبوط، بس في جزء من الجملة ايه مش صحيح، فأصبحت كلها دي تعتبر مختلفة. طيب number 2: Why do you think that Rasendell thought the king might be angry؟ ليه راسندل ظن ان الملك ممكن يبقى متضايق؟ Because Rasendell resembled the king. لأن راسندل يشبه الملك. Because Rasendell walked in the forest. Rasendell spoke to sap and threads. Because Rasendell had red hair. أكيد اللي هي إيه الأولى، لأن هو طبعا ظن إن هو إيه يشبهه، فده ممكن يزعل أو يضايق الكينج أو الملك. طبعا ده ما زعلش خالص الملك. Number 3: Where did Rodolph Rasendell tell the king he was going؟ قال له هو رايح فين and why؟ طبعا قال له ان هو راح يحضر فين الكورونيشن في ستريلسو. دي واضحة جدا. to ستريلسو to attend the coronation. تمام. okay, very nice. question number 4: what showed that the king was very lucky؟ ايه اللي بين لنا ان الكينج محظوظ قوي؟ A. the duke sent him to the guards، ولا he met Rasendell and invited him to dinner، ولا he met Johan's mother in the lodge، ولا he ate most of the cakes. طبعا هو محظوظ لان هو دعا راسندل عنده، وبعد كده لما حصلت المشكلة بتاعت الكيكة المسمومة فراسندل استبدل بيه، يعني اصبح راسندل الكينج بدل منه. طبعا ده كله pretended that he is the king. ده كله مجرد تظاهر مش اكتر. يبقى الإجابة الصحيحة that he met Rasendell and he invited him to dinner. question number 5: Joseph was، طبعا احنا عارفين جوزيف ده the personal servant for whom أو of whom of the king، الخادم الشخصي لمين؟ للملك. طيب what kind of advice did Freds and Sapt give the king؟ ايه النصيحة اللي سابت و Freds ادوها للملك؟ طبعا they asked or they advised him not to eat too much as they are going to start their journey tomorrow early in the morning. لازم ما ياكلش كتير عشان الاكل ما يكتمش على نفسه، وان هم هيبداوا رحلتهم الصبح. يبقى هنا not to eat much and sleep early. طبعا اليوم طويل بكره الكورونيشن بقى اللي هو Wednesday. question number 7: which one of the following is not true about Duke Michael؟ أنهي في الجمل اللي قدامنا دي مش حقيقي عن مين؟ عن مايكل. he is the king's half brother، ولا he sent the king good cakes؟ دي واضحة جدا. لا الكلام ده مش صحيح. طبعا مايكل sent him poisoned cakes، كيكة مسمومة، واللي أدت لإغمائه في الصبح يوم الأربعاء. why was Rasendell angry when Colonel Sapt awakened him؟ ليه طبعا راسندل كان متضايق جدا لما سابت صحاه؟ اكيد صحاه بطريقه مش لطيفه اللي هي ايه that he had thrown water over him. واضحه مش محتاجه شرح الباقي. okay, the next: what did Rasendell notice about the king in the morning؟ راسندل لاحظ ايه عن الملك في الصباح؟ that he noticed that he has heavy breathing، نفس تقيل جدا. okay, and his face is red. okay, and he could see that he has a weak pulse. يعني weak pulse؟ weak and slow pulse، يعني النفس بتاعه او النبض بتاعه ضعيف كده وبطيء. طبعا he was energetic and active. ده اللي لاحظوا عليه ان هو active؟ لا خالص. he was eating breakfast؟ no. he got dressed for the coronation؟ no. he was lying on the floor؟ مضطجع كده على الأرض، نايم على الأرض with a weak pulse and red face. هي دي المظبوطة، هو دي الحاجة اللي لاحظها رودولف راسندل على مين؟ على الكينج. طبعا this is because he ate the poisoned cake. Question number 10. Which one of the following didn't Fred suggest to help the king؟ أنهي حاجة من الجمل ديت فريدز ما اقترحهاش عشان يساعد الملك؟ الملك دلوقتي في مأزق، ان هو ايه بقى؟ ان هو that he is drugged, that he is poisoned. طبعا and he cannot attend the coronation. مش هينفع يحضر الكورونيشن. Number 1. Telling the people that the king was ill. Telling the people the truth. Taking the king unconscious to stress. يعني taking the king unconscious to stress يعني ياخده هو كده وهو مغمى عليه لستريلسو. Not getting a doctor as it was in vain. طبعا ليه بقى in vain؟ ليه useless او عديم الفائده انهم يجيبوا دكتور دلوقتي؟ عبال ما يجي الدكتور هيكون الوقت الكورونيشن عدى وكده ايه، هيبقى باظ الكورونيشن عليهم. تمام؟ يبقى الحاجه الوحيده اللي هو ما اقترحهاش فريدز اللي هي ايه؟ taking the king unconscious. هو ما قالش ناخد الكينج وهو كده نايم لستريلس عشان يحضر الكورونيشن بالشكل ده. Question number 11. What would happen if the king wasn't crowned on the appointed day؟ لو الملك ما اتوجش في اليوم المحدد ده، ايه اللي هيحصل بقى؟ اكيد his half brother would take the throne. اكيد مايكل هيستولى على العرش لان دي فرصته، هو كان مخطط لكده. Number 12. How was Michael weakened؟ Yes, he poisoned his half brother to be the king. He persuaded Rasendell to be king. He imprisoned Sapt and Fritz. يعني imprisoned Sapt and Fritz يعني سجنهم. And he made Fritz kill the king. طبعا ولا واحدة فيهم إجابة صحيحة إلا الأولى اللي هي إيه؟ he poisoned his half brother. طبعا هنا he sent him poisoned cake. Okay? To take the chance and to be coronated instead of him. طبعا بعت له البويزند كيك دي عشان يتسمم ويموت، أو بعد كده يسكنه أو يموته أو أي حاجة عشان هو يبقى الملك بدل منه. Question number 13. What idea came to Colonel Sapp to fulfill the coronation؟ ايه الفكرة اللي خطرت على باله؟ طبعا اللي هو ايه؟ To make Rudolf Rasendell instead of the king. يبقى بدل منه. To attend the coronation himself. هو بنفسه. Rudolf Rasendell هو يروح الكورونيشن بدل king. He persuaded Rudolf Rasendell to replace the king. أقنع راسندل إنه هو يروح بدل الكينج، ولا he caught Michael and imprisoned him. قبض على مايكل وسجنه. الكلام ده مش مظبوط. He sent Fritz to tell the people the truth. He brought a doctor to help the king. يبقى هي الفكرة اللي جت في دماغه اللي هي بقى مين؟ A. That Rudolf Rasendell will impersonate. يعني ايه impersonate؟ يعني يتقمص شخصية حد كده. The king and attend the coronation instead of him. Question number 14. What wouldn't people in stress realize that Rasendell replaced their king? Because he is very clever, because he spoke fluent French, because he looked exactly like the king, because Michael would support him. ايه الحاجة اللي مش هتخلي الناس يدركوا ان راسندل ده استبدل بدل الملك؟ يعني من الاخر كده هي هتعدي عليهم ازاي بقى؟ because Rasendell looked exactly like the king. هو شبه الملك، فمحدش هيفكر هل ده الملك او مش الملك او كده. Question 15. Sapt planned to hide the king. طبعا هيخبيه فين بقى؟ in the cellar. واضحة جدا. معذرة. in the cellar. Okay. Question 16. Who dressed Rasendell to be like the king? مين اللي لبس راسندل لبس الملك او انه يبقى شبه الملك بالظبط؟ جوزيف. طبعا who is Joseph؟ ده قلنا ال personal servant of the king، الخادم الشخصي. Who overheard their plan؟ مين اتصنت او مين سمع الخطة بتاعتهم ايه الخطة بتاعتهم؟ that Rudolf Rasendell will impersonate the king، هيتقمص شخصية الملك and will go to the coronation instead of him. طبعا يوهان's mother. Question 18. Who was surprised to see the king alone with Sabt and Fritz? مين كان مستغرب ان يشوف الملك والسابت وفريدز الملك لوحده من غير الجاردز؟ طبعا اللي هم مين؟ the station guards، لان هم كانوا متوقعين انه هيلاقي الملك هو وسابت وفريدز ومايكلز جاردز والجاردز، بس طبعا هم غيروا البلان بتاعتهم وده اللي وضحوه بقى لمين؟ للستيشن جاردز. انا مبدئيا ما بحبش اجاوب السؤال كده دايركت، لازم اشرح اللي حواليه وافهمك احنا ليه اخترنا دي، عشان دي هتساعدك في اجابة نقاط تانية. تمام؟ فخليك طويل البال معايا. Okay, question 19. Who was put with the king in the cellar؟ هم حطوا مين مع الكينج؟ جوزيف، the innkeeper، يوهان، none of these. طبعا ولا واحد من دول. هم حطوا بقى مين؟ يوهان's mother. ليه بقى؟ because she overheard the plan، لأنها سمعت الخطة بتاعتهم. Okay, question number 20. In Sabt's plan، في خطة سابت، who would keep the king's room in the palace؟ مين هيستنى بقى في حجرة الملك لما هو بيكونوا في ستريلسو؟ طبعا فريدز. وهيرجع طبعا سابت مع رودولف راسندل back to the hunting lodge. Okay, and then Rudolf Rasendell will travel away as fast as possible, and the king will return back with him to Strelso at night. طبعا هيرجع بالليل ولا حد ياخد باله. 21. How long would Rasendell impersonate قلنا يتجسد شخصية حد، يقوم بدور الكينج. In Sabt's first plan، طبعا 2 days يستحيل، half a day أو half a night يستحيل، forever طبعا مستحيل المستحيلات، a day and night اللي هي بقى a day and night. قلنا a day اللي هو اليوم الكورونيشن نفسه، والنايت اللي هو لحظة الرجوع بقى واستبدال الملك الحقيقي بالملك المزيف. Question 22. Sabt was always at Rasendell's side. دايما سابت كان support أو دايما كان بجانب راسندل. ليه بقى؟ To tell him the history of England؟ لا طبعا، هو أساسا راسندل من إنجلند فهيقول له تاريخ بلده؟ لا. To count his mistakes، عشان يعدلوا أخطاء ويقول له أنت غلطت في كذا وكذا. To assure and help him play the role. أيوة هي دي، عشان يساعده إزاي يلعب الدور صح، إنه يلعب دور الملك. To protect him from the king. لا، خطأ الأخيرة دي. يبقى عندنا الإجابة to assure and help him play the role. Question 23. What did the Fritz tell the surprised station guards؟ Fritz قال لهم إيه بقى؟ He told them the truth؟ لا. He told him that the king changed the plan، يغير الخطة. هو قال لهم كده. And he told him that they had 2 kings. مستحيل. He told him to keep the secret. طبعا اللي هي ايه؟ He told him that the king had changed the plan. Okay. Question 24. Rasendell was feeling space on the train. طبعا he was feeling nervous. أكيد طبعا كان متوتر في الموقف اللي هو فيه، لأنه أكيد ما جربوش قبل كده. Question 25. Where did Rasendell Sabt Fritz go on reaching the capital؟ راحوا فين طبعا؟ They went to the restaurant because Rudolf Rasendell said that he is hungry and he wanted to have breakfast. قال لهم إن أنا جعان وعايز ياكل. Question number 26. Why weren't they met by the coronation procession on reaching the capital؟ يعني coronation procession اللي هو الموكب اللي هو من المفترض انه ينتظرهم اللي هيحتفلوا بيه مع بالكورونيشن. اوكي، الموكب اللي هو عبارة عن الجاردز والهورسز and so on. Because they had a pretend king, because they were afraid, because they were an hour earlier, because they wanted to have a meal. طبعا لأن هم وصلوا ساعة بدري، فده طبعا غير كل الحاجات اللي كانت مترتبة. تمام. 27. Who was Marshall Strachan. He was a man from the church. رجل من الكنيسة. He was a very important lord. He was a very important person in the army. هي دي باختصار. هو فعلا رجل مهم فين؟ في الجيش. Question number 28. What happened to Rasendell when no one realized that he was not the real king? ايه اللي حصل بقى لراسندل لما كله ما اكتشفش ان هو مش الريل كينج؟ يعني من الاخر كده لما عدت عليهم ان هو الكينج الحقيقي. طبعا هو مش الكينج الحقيقي، طبعا هو كان الاول خايف، كان نيرفس، ففي الحالة دي ان هو نيرفس شوية قل الخوف ده، قل الارتعاد ده. اوكي so he became less nervous. ده اداله نوع من الطمأنينة شوية. 29. Which two parts were there in the capital? طبعا احنا قلنا the new part and the old part. The new part which supported the king and the old part which supported Black Michael. لو تلاحظ انا قلت Black Michael. ليه قلنا عليه Black Michael? Because he was known with his black heart. معروف بقلبه الاسود طبعا. Question number 30. Why did the people who were crowded into tiny houses oppose the king? ليه الناس اللي كانت عايشة في بيوت صغيرة طبعا كانوا ضد الملك؟ As they loved the king's father, as they loved the king, as they knew things wouldn't change. A and B. طبعا الإجابة C. إن هم أيقنوا تماما إن الملك مش هيغير حاجة زي باباهم. تمام، هيسيبهم في التايني هاوسز اللي هم عايشينها والديرتي ستريتس. But they were sure that Black Michael is gonna change the position they were in. Yes, he knows that they are in bad condition and he is going to change this bad condition. طبعا هو عارف انهم في ظرف سيء وهيغير، بس طبعا بلاك مايكل ده ايه؟ تريكي، لا هيغير ولا نيلة. تريكي يعني مخادع، يدوب هياخد اصواتهم، هياخد تشجيعهم، وبعد كده ايه؟ ولا هيعبرهم. 31. Why did the poor people support the duke? ليه الناس الفقراء بيدعموا الملك؟ طبعا وعدهم بمستقبل أفضل. As he gave them the hope for a better future. بس كده، مش هنقرأ الباقي، مش محتاجين. Okay, 32. How did people celebrate the king's arrival in the capital? ازاي الناس احتفلت بوصول الملك في العاصمة اللي هي ستريلسو؟ A. They said they loved him. ولا they clapped and cheered. طبعا هي دي. They invited him to generous meals. ولا they told him jokes. يعني قالوا له نكت. لا طبعا they clapped and cheered. يعني cheered like what they said long live the king. يعني يعيش الملك وهكذا. 33. Rasendell was surprised to see space on a balcony. كان مستغرب انه شاف مين في البلكونة؟ طبعا أنتوانيت دوموبان، لأن هو شافها قبل كده، فكان بالنسبة له دي حاجة غريبة. طبعا ده يحط عنده خوف لربما تكشفه. 34. Why did Colonel Sapt and Fred's Voteranheim not eat much that evening? ما أكلوش ليه بقى؟ They knew the food was poisoned. عارفين الأكل مسموم. They weren't hungry. They were very ill. They didn't want to eat much before the important coronation. طبعا الإجابة الصحيحة اللي هي الأخيرة، مش عايزين ياكلوا كتير قبل الكورونيشن عشان طبعا يبقوا مستعدين وما تروحش عليهم نومة. 35. Why did the poor people in the capital want Duke Michael to become the king? طبعا هنا because he promised them of a bright future, better future. وعدهم. Yes, they wanted things to change. They wanted things to stay the same. They thought he was a lazy man. They wanted a war with the king. لا طبعا هنا they wanted things to change. عايزين حالهم يتبدل الأفضل طبعا. Because they lived in tiny houses. Okay, question number 36. The king has to return to the palace in the dark because they don't want people to know that he was ill. ولا he is not wearing the king's clothes. The poor people would attack him if they saw him. ولا he is frightened of the duke؟ طبعا الإجابة الصحيحة هي A. They don't want people to know that he was ill. مش عايزين يعرفوا ان الناس ان هو مريض وان هو ما حضرش الكورونيشن وكله يبقوا فين؟ في الخباثة. Question number 37. Rodolph has to leave the country before it's light so that the Duke can become the king. Nobody knows that he pretended to be the king. He can write a story about what happened. People don't think that he poisoned the king. طبعا اللي هي B اللي هو مش عايزين حد يعرف ان هو تقمص شخصية مين الملك وهو التوج في الكورونيشن. Okay, 38. Why wasn't Rasendell as sick as the king was؟ هو ليه راسندل ما تعبش زي الملك؟ Because he ate less cakes than the king. يعني هو ما أكلش كيكة زيه زي الملك، هو just only a bit حتة وخلاص. أما الملك ما شاء الله yes he ate too much. He felt as if it's the first time that he's tasting it. كأنه أول مرة يدوقها فعجبته. He ate too much. طبعا مايكل ما كان مخطط ومظبط حاجة زي كده. He was stronger than the king ولا he didn't eat the same food as the king ولا he didn't eat as many cakes as the king. هي دي. هو ما أكلش كيكة زي مين؟ زي الملك. يدوب a little bit. 39. How does Rasendell feel about pretending to be the king؟ كان إيه إحساسه طبعا؟ طبعا كان he was nervous. احنا قلنا الكلام ده. He feels nervous. Okay. 40. What was the city of Strelso like؟ city of Strelso شكل ايه؟ شكلها ايه؟ It was modern ولا it was very old ولا it was a mixture يعني خليط of old and new buildings. ايوه طبعا الخليط ما بين المباني القديمة والجديدة. اللي هم القديمة طبعا احنا قلنا اللي هم supported مايكل واللي هم الجديدة اللي هم supported مين؟ the king. Okay, question number 41. Why do you think that Rasendell was afraid when he saw Antoinette de Maupin on the balcony؟ ليه مايكل كان خايف لما شاف أنطوانيت دو موبان في البلكونة؟ Okay, because he thought that she might recognize him, because she recognized him, because she wanted to marry the king, because she knew that he was not the king. طبعا احنا هنركز في A أو B. Because he thought that she might recognize him ولا because she recognized him. لا هو ما عندوش معلومة مؤكدة ان هي خلاص اتعرفت عليه او عرفته. لا هو ظن ان هي ايه ممكن تعرفه. Okay, because he thought that she might recognize him. ننتقل بقى ل critical thinking questions. انا عايزك تركز جدا 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 معايا. Okay. Question number 1. How do you think سابت knew about Rasendell's family؟ ازاي سابت عرف عن عائلة راسندل؟ هو قال له ايه؟ Because he asked Rasendell if he is one of the Burlestons. فاكرين لما قال له Are you one of the Burlestons؟ هو انت من البرلستونز؟ ده معنى ذلك ان عائلة مين؟ راسندل مشهورة وعرفها مين؟ سابت. Yes, because he asked him if he is one of the Burlestons. ننتقل بقى للسؤال الثاني. Do you think that the king treated Rasendell as a relative؟ هل تعتقد ان الملك عامل راسندل كأنه حد من قرايبه؟ If yes, show how. طبعا yes he treated him as he is one of his relatives, as he told him that cousin. He called him cousin. دعاه بايه؟ بانه cousin ابن عم او ابن خال. طبعا هنا ابن عم. What else? And he also invited him to eat dinner with him in the hunting lodge. وقال له كمان تعالى ايه اتعشى معاه في الهانتنج لودج. فده اكيد معاملة قرايب مش معاملة اعداء خالص. يبقى yes, as he invited him to eat dinner with him in the hunting lodge, and also as he called him cousin. ننتقل للسؤال الثالث. Do you think that the king didn't have an independent character؟ هل تعتقد ان الملك ما عندوش شخصية مستقلة؟ Why and why not؟ Yes, I think that he didn't have an independent character. فعلا ما عندوش شخصية مستقلة. ليه بقى؟ Because he always asked Fred's and Sap's advice. دايما بيطلب النصيحة من مين؟ من Sap to Fred's. And can you remember when Fred's told him that it's better for Rodolph Rasendell not to travel to Strelso? قال له أفضل إن Rodolph Rasendell ما يسافرش بقى فين؟ Strelso. What did the king do? Yes, he looked and Sapt agreed. And the king decided that Rodolph Rasendell mustn't travel. Okay? Yes, the king didn't have an independent character as he always asks Fred's and Sapt's advice. Let's move to question number 4. Do you think that Sapt and Fred's didn't agree to the king's invitation to Rasendell to eat with him? هل تعتقد ان سابت وفريدز ما وافقوش على دعوة الملك لراسندل انه ياكل معاه؟ And say why. وقول لنا ليه. Yes, they didn't agree on that. هم طبعا ما وافقوش. ليه بقى؟ Because the king had to get up early in the morning to start his journey to Strelso. الملك لازم يصحى بدري. فانه يدعو راسندل للبيت او الهانتنج لودج عنده، فده ممكن يسهروا بالليل، فده هيتعبوا تاني يوم الصبح. So that's why they didn't agree on that at all. Yes, they didn't because the king had to get up early to start his journey to Strelso. Let's move to question number 5. Why do you think that the king didn't realize his half-brother's cunning deeds? Cunning deeds يعني الأفعال الشريرة أو السيئة. ليه الملك ما تداركش إن أخوه اللي هو مايكل ممكن يعمل حاجة شريرة معاه أو أي فعلة دنيئة؟ Okay, because he ate the cake without thinking that it may be poisoned. لأن طبعا الملك أكل الكيكة على طول من غير ما يفكر ولو للحظة إن الكيكة دي ممكن تكون مسمومة. Because he ate the cake without thinking that it may be poisoned. أكل الكيكة من غير ما يفكر هي مسمومة ولا لا. طبعا هو مش مدي إخوانه، لو هو مدي إخوانه كان يفكر الأول أو يعمل تشيكينج على الكيك دي إذا كانت سليمة أو أي حاجة شبه كده. Let's move to question number 6. Why do you think that Joseph was chosen to serve the cakes? ليه جوزيف هو اللي اختير إن هو يقدم الكيكة؟ عندنا أسباب كتيرة. أول واحدة because Michael wanted to keep the crime away of himself. عايز يبعد عنه الشبهة. Number 2 to be said that the king's personal servant had poisoned him. عشان يتقال إن الخادم الشخصي للملك هو اللي سمه، وطبعا مايكل بعيد كل البعد. And he wanted Joseph to be accused of. وعايزين جوزيف هو اللي يتهم بالموضوع ده. وفيه سبب لطيف جدا وسهل جدا اللي هو ممكن ايه بقى؟ because Joseph is the king's personal servant and no one other person is supposed to serve the king. مش هو الخادم بتاعه، هو حد ممكن تاني يقدم له او يخدمه غيره، فخلاص يبقى هو اللي قدمها. Yes, as Michael wanted to keep the crime away of himself. Yes, to be said that the king's personal servant had poisoned him and he wanted Joseph to be accused. عايز جوزيف هو اللي يتهم بالنقطة دي. The next one, no one is supposed to serve the king except Joseph. ما حدش من المفترض انه هو بيخدم الكينج الملك غير مين؟ جوزيف. Let's move to question number 7. Do you think that Sapt and Fred's were afraid to eat or that was their habit not to eat much? هل تعتقد ان فريدز وسابت كانوا خايفين انهم ياكلوا ولا هي دي عادتهم ان هم مش هياكلوا كتير؟ ها yes and say why. طبعا هنا I don't think that they are afraid but they didn't eat as they have a mission to do tomorrow. عندهم مهمة لازم يأدوها and they have to get early the next morning. لازم يصحوا بدري so they didn't have to eat too much. Okay. Yes, they weren't afraid, but they had to wake up early. If so, they mustn't eat too much. Okay, let's move to question number 8. Do you think that Duke Michael wanted to kill his brother with the poisoned cake or not? Yes, for sure he wanted to kill his brother. Yes, to be the king instead of him, to be crowned instead of him, عشان يبقى الملك بدل منه. Yes, for sure, to be crowned instead of him. Let's move to question number 9. In your opinion, what would the people of Strelso have believed if the king hadn't gone to the coronation? الناس هتعتقد في الملك ايه لو هو ما حضرش الكورونيشن؟ طبعا they would think that he is irresponsible، يعني شخص غير قادر على تحمل المسؤولية. That the king is irresponsible. Let's move to question number 10. In your opinion, what would happen if Rasendell refused to replace the king? لو راسندل رفض انه يكون الملك، طبعا Black Michael will take this chance، هيستغل الفرصة دي. Okay, and he will be crowned instead of the king. He will be the king instead of Rudolph V. هيبقى الملك بدل مين؟ من رودولف V. وده طبعا كله أمانيه وده اللي بيتمناه. Michael would be crowned instead of him. Let's move to question number 11. Why do you think that they didn't ask Johan's mother about the person who sent the cake? هم ليه ما سألوش مامة يوهان عن اللي بعت الكيكة؟ Because Joseph said that it was from Black Michael. Because Joseph said that Black Michael had sent the cake for the king after he finishes his food. قال له لما تخلص الأكل كل دي. ده الكلام ده كلام مين؟ مايكل بعت مع جوزيف الكيكة دي وقال له ايه؟ دي للملك بعد ما يخلص أكل اداها له. طبعا جوزيف لا يعلم تماما ان الكيكة دي كانت مسمومة. Because Joseph said that it was from Black Michael. Let's move to question number 12. Do you think Michael's guards اللي هم الحراس, do you think that Michael's guards were supposed to take the king to the coronation or do something else, and why? Not at all, okay? No, not at all. They are not supposed to take him to the coronation. But I think that they are going to kidnap him or kill him as Michael ordered them. طبعا مش هياخدوه للكورونيشن نهائيا، أكيد يا إما هيخطفوه أو يقتلوه زي ما أمرهم مين؟ مايكل. No, not at all. They are supposed to kidnap or kill him as Michael had ordered. Let's move to question number 13. Why do you think that Rasendell agreed to carry out يعني ينفذ the dangerous mission المهمة الخطرة دي؟ طبعا because he's brave، أكيد عشان هو شجاع. Number 2, to save the country from Black Michael. As if the king wasn't crowned that day, yes, he will not be crowned anymore. And Black Michael will be instead of him. Yes, to save the country from Black Michael. Let's move to question number 14. Why do you think that Marshall didn't ask why the king was an hour early and without guards? هو من المفترض ان هم رايحين ساعة بدري. طب هو ليه المارشال ما سألش ليه انتوا جايين بدري؟ طبعا this is because Sapt sent a word saying that they are an hour earlier. يعني لأن سبت بعت letter أو جواب بقى لإسترالسو في البالاس هناك إن هم جايين ساعة بدري. And they have another reason، في سبب تاني that they had changed the plan، لأنهم غيروا الخطة بتاعتهم يعني. As Sapt sent a word to the palace saying that they are an hour earlier, also as they had changed their plan. Let's move to question number 15, and it's the last one. If you were Rasendell, would you be afraid to be recognized by Antoinette de Maupin at the coronation? لو أنت بدل راسندل لو مكانه هتبقى خايف إن أنتوانيت دي موبان ممكن تكشفك في الكورونيشن؟ For sure yes. أكيد طبعا هخاف. Okay. As if he was recognized, he will be put to death. يعني إيه he will be put to death؟ هيتعرض للموت. أكيد طبعا مايكل مش هيرحمه، أكيد هيقتله، مش هيسمي عليه يعني. For sure, yes. If he is recognized, if Rasendell is recognized, he will be put to death. Let's move to the advanced exercise. Choose the correct answer, A, B, C, or D. Question number 1. What happened when Rodolph Rasendell first met the king? A. The king fought him. طبعا غلط. The king laughed at him. الملك استهزأ بيه. غلط. The king made friends with him. اقف عند دي استنى. The king gave him a gift. اداله هدية. طبعا هنا هنقول ايه؟ The king made friends with him. يعني ايه made friends with him؟ كون صداقة معاه. بدليل ان هو قال له ايه؟ قال له cousin دي حاجة. الحاجة التانية he invited him to have dinner at the hunting lodge with him. Question number 2. Why did Rasendell take the king's place? ليه راسندل حل محل الملك؟ أخذ مكانه. Because the king was too drugged to be crowned. أقف عند دي. هنرجع لها. Because Sabt and Freds threatened him to do it. لأن Freds وسابت هددوه. طبعا لأ. Because Rasendell wanted Duke Michael to be the king. لأن راسندل عايز مايكل يبقى الكينج. طبعا لأ. Because the king asked him to do it. لأن الكينج طلب منه يعمل كده. طبعا الكلام ده لا. هنرجع لأول واحدة. Because the king was too drugged. يعني ايه too drugged؟ يعني زي متخدر كده. Okay. Yes, who drugged him? Yes, we know that Black Michael, his brother, sent him poisoned cake. Okay, because he didn't want him to attend the coronation. أخوه بعت له كيكة عشان ياكلها إيه؟ ويموت وما يحضرش الإيه؟ الcoronation. يبقى this is the right answer. It's A. Okay, let's move to question number 3. How did people behave when the king arrived in the capital? الناس اتصرفت ازاي؟ They were in a mess يعني فوضى. اقف عند دي. They were angry لأ. They began the coronation بدأوا الاحتفال طبعا لأ خالص. They told him to rest قالوا له استريح. يبقى هنرجع بقى they were in a mess وهي دي الإجابة. هم كانوا في حالة فوضوية. ازاي بقى؟ Everything was suddenly busy. Yes. Men ran up to them and then they ran away again. الناس عمالة تجري تروح يمين وشمال تروح ناحيتهم وتبعد. And soldiers ran off on horses. والجنود ركبوا على الحصانة. يعني ممكن كانت في حالة فوضوية كده. حالة لخبطة. طبعا الملك مرة واحدة زارهم كبس عليهم كده. Yes, they were in a mess. This is the right answer. Let's move to question number 4. By accepting to replace the king, Rasendell showed that إن Rasendell إنه يقبل إنه يكون الملك. ده بيبين لنا إن Rasendell إيه بقى؟ That he likes to be a king ولا he likes to have an easy life ولا he is a brave man and he is an officer of the queen's army. لا طبعا ده بيبين لنا هو he is a brave man. Yes, to carry out this dangerous mission. إنه ينفذ مهمة خطرة زي دي. B. Answer 2 of the following questions. Question number 1. Why do you think no one accused Joseph of poisoning the king? ليه تعتقد إن محدش اتهم جوزيف إن هو اللي سمم الملك؟ Because no one knew that the king is poisoned. أولا مبدئيا لحد دلوقتي محدش يعرف إن الملك اتسمم غير سابت وفريدز. طب لو هنروح من ناحية سابت وفريدز. Because Sabt and Freds were sure that Black Michael is the doer. هم متأكدين ان الفعل الدنيئة دي مين؟ Black Michael. Because Black Michael is going to be crowned instead of his brother. لأنه طبعا عايز الفرصة دي. And Joseph himself said Joseph himself said that the cake was sent by whom? By Black Michael. جوزيف بنفسه قال ان اللي بعت الكيكة دي هو مايكل. يعني لا داعي ان هم يفكروا في جوزيف ان هو اللي عمل كده. وطبعا اكيد جوزيف مش هيفكر يقتل مين؟ الملك بتاعه ويحط نفسه في خطر. Yes, because no one knew that the king is poisoned and because Sabt and Freds know that it was Black Michael is the doer to be crowned instead of whom? Instead of his brother. And Joseph himself said that the cake was sent by Michael. Let's move to question number 2. What do you think Rasendell would do with the people who supported the Duke? تعتقد راسندل هيعمل ايه بقى على الناس اللي هي كانت support للديوك اللي هو بلاك مايكل؟ يا ترى هيواجههم ولا هيخاف منهم؟ هو فعلا هيواجههم مش هيخاف منهم. ليه طيب؟ he would be among them، هيبقى وسطيهم to show them that he trusted them، هيبقى وسطيهم عشان يبين لهم انه واثق فيهم مش خايف منهم. Yes, he would be among them to show them that he trusted them. What do you think would happen if Antoinette de Maupin cried and said that it wasn't the king؟ يا ترى ايه اللي هيحصل لو أنطوانيت صوتت وقالت ان الشخص اللي موجود ده مش هو الملك؟ طبعا كل حاجة هتبوظ. The secret plan would be exposed، الخطة السرية خلاص هتتعرف. and Rudolph may be put to death، ورودولف ايه؟ هيتعرض للموت. and Black Michael will be the king instead of his brother، ومايكل هيبقى الكينج، ودي الفرصة اللي هو مستنيها. The secret plan would be exposed. exposed يعني هتتفضح هتتعرف. and Rudolph may be put to death. and Michael will be the king instead of his brother. تمام، هيبقى الملك بدل من مين؟ أخوه. وبكده نكون انتهينا من شرح وبكده نكون انتهينا من أسئلة الفصل الثاني في قصة سجين زندا. أتمنى أن تكونوا استفدتوا، وما تنسوش سبسكرايب ولايك وشير وظبطوا الدنيا كده مع أصحابكم، وإن شاء الله